by one checking. 7037, if you receive any prowler calls in the vicinity of 4th Ave and Olympic City, please notify. Ramp party, possible between 11 suspects, Alexandria and Beverly. Beverly and Alexandria. See the juveniles at tape, one advised. Being followed by a blue Mitsubishi and on license plate.
2 cops, copy, log on.
This is all scripted to everyone watching Twitch.
No, it's not. I mean, it's kind of scripted, but not really scripted.
Okay.
It's all scripted.
Read your little paragraph you wrote.
It's all scripted. I'm not reading anything, okay?
Oh, look, my thing isn't as big as it was yesterday.
That's what she said.
Moving on.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the first episode of our podcast, 2 Cops. I'm Oscar Polsey, obviously. And with me co-hosting is Roxas89 and Fly and Fuzz. Say what's up.
Hi.
What's up, guys?
I called that. I called Pelly's. Hi. Hi, really quick and quiet. Almost no enthusiasm. He's only here because he has to be.
His arm is twisted right now.
Yeah, exactly. He's in handcuffs at his desk. All right. We've all worked together as police officers for like 3 years. We game together, obviously. You know, Roxas from gaming, Fly and Fuzz from gaming, hopefully. Fly and Fuzz. I have a couple questions for both of you, but mainly Fly and Fuzz because nobody really knows you. You don't even have an Instagram.
No, I do not.
Are you gonna make one?
No, I'm not.
You said you were gonna make one.
Yeah, I thought you said you were going to make one.
Well, not today.
Okay, in the future.
In the future, he's going to. Fly and Fuzz, how long have you lived in Vegas?
My whole life, born and raised.
You went to Veterans Tribute High School, right?
Yes.
Did you go to become a cop, or what was your
Yes.
plans?
No, majored in law enforcement.
You majored, huh? I thought it was high school.
It was, but they have different program areas. So you can like major in law enforcement or major in emergency medical services or 911 dispatch.
But you were a dispatch explorer.
Yes, I was.
Okay, you've got to explain this to me because you wanted to be a cop, right?
Yeah, well, oh my god, I don't even know where to begin with this.
We got all night.
Yes, I went to high school and studied law enforcement, but I was a dispatch explorer because I wanted to see the other side of things as well. And I enjoyed the kind of explore side of 911 dispatch.
So how did that help you then in your future with becoming a cop?
Which, the high school or the explorers or both?
Just seeing both sides of it.
Well, for starters, I know what they go through, so like I'm always sending messages to dispatch all night long, and like they've always said, "Oh, I like how you do this, I like how you do that," and it's like, well, yeah, I know because I've done sit-alongs and I see your guys' side of it, and I was an explorer on the dispatch side of it, so yeah, it's just you just know what they expect and how they enter things into their computer and CAD and all that stuff.
The dispatcher today had a really bad attitude with me when I logged off. I'm not sure if I liked it or not.
Well, I think too, one thing I noticed on the dispatch side is there's a lot of things cops ask for that they can do themselves. Like calling PRs is a good one. I almost always try to call my PR myself, but let's say I call and it goes to like voicemail 2 times. And it's one of those where like you really should probably try and get a hold of the PR. I'll have dispatch to it too, just so it's logged in there that dispatch also attempted a recall. So just that kind of stuff is they can do themselves.
Well, this was a log off, and
Yeah.
she just wasn't having it. And I guess I could have called PBX, but I wanted to go home.
Well, I think per policy, someone told me per policy you're supposed to log off over the radio, but I don't see why she would get upset about that anyway.
Okay, but there's a lot of things per policy that we're supposed to do that everybody would give me crap for doing.
Do we really want to admit that?
Moving on. What are the rest of your career plans?
I want to join the air unit.
That's it? No plans. How does one get to
That
the
is
air
a
unit?
plan.
Yeah, that's
That's
the
the
point.
plan.
That's the only plan. Can you go a little bit more into detail for me?
What would you like? What else would you like to know?
And what draws you to the air unit?
So I've always wanted to be a cop my whole life, but I've also always had an interest in aviation. So between graduating high school and applying for the department, I went to college, got my associates in aviation, got my pilot's license, and so yeah, I hope to use
What's
that.
better, a helicopter or a airplane?
Depends on the mission.
I was told a helicopter's always better because you can land it anywhere. I'm just saying, that's what I was told.
Yes, that is true, but you also got to do a fuel stop every like if I wanted to go to Laughlin and I was in the Robinson R44 or something, I'd have to fuel stop in Boulder City and then it can go and then coming back I'd have to fuel stop in Boulder City again and then go back to North Las Vegas Airport. So yes, you can land everywhere, but there's also of course it depends on the helicopter. You gotta fuel stop all the time. It's not as fast. So like I said, it depends on the mission.
Okay. All right, we're going to come back to you. We're going to go over to Roxas for a minute. I know Roxas didn't grow up in Vegas.
No.
Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in the Midwest, in Indiana, in the middle of a cornfield.
Oh, nice. I love it already.
They sat around and watched cars rust for fun.
Yeah.
Sat around and watched cars rust for
You don't
fun.
know real entertainment until you've watched paint dry.
Oh my goodness. How many other states have you lived in? Is it just Indiana and Vegas? Or
No. So I've been around. So after high school, I moved out to Cali. Was out there for a few years. Moved back to Indiana. Was there for another year or two. And then I went to Miami. Went down to Florida. And that was for a very long year. And then eventually
it just wasn't good or what?
No, Miami was not fun. No, it was not fun. And then we moved to Vegas. That was it. We decided here, and here we are.
They were one of those couples, I think, that was just let's go to Vegas, baby, and
lost all their money gambling and couldn't afford to leave.
So here's the kicker. So when we were in Miami, I was like, hey, why don't we just move back to Cali? We'll move back to the area that I lived in when I was out there. And she's like, no, I don't want to go to California. So
good choice.
We decided.
Well, where did you meet your wife? Let's start there. Where did you meet your wife?
We're both from Indiana.
So did she go to California with you the first time?
No, she didn't.
Oh.
No, that first time.
That's when you were going around. Never mind. I guess I'm going to keep this
Let's stop.
I had a girlfriend when I moved out to Cali, but it didn't last long because she wasn't loyal, so I was a free agent in California.
Free agent, he says.
Yeah,
that's a good way to put it.
I didn't meet my wife until I came. I didn't meet my wife until I moved back to Indiana.
Interesting. So you guys just showed up to Vegas. You didn't come to Vegas to become a cop?
No, I actually never had any taste to be a cop ever because my stepdad's whole side of the family are all cops.
So what changed your mind then? What drew you to it?
So I like computer stuff. I went and got a job at Target because I had a job way back in high school for Target. Eventually got into loss prevention from electronics over there. And then from that point on, in loss prevention, you have quite a bit of contact with police, and we do our reports pretty close to the way that Metro does them. So it kind of went hand in hand. Had a detective show up once. He's like, hey, you guys' report are really good. You guys ever think about applying? And the rest is history.
And you're like, well, I did it until now, but let's do it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Well, I could be a cop.
Our jobs are basically the same.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's
my goal. I wanted to say that every episode.
They're basically the same. It's fine.
What career path do you see yourself following? Like, what's your plans for the
For the
future?
department.
Yeah.
So I like to run and gun. I like to be the smart guy, but I like to, be in the middle of action. So probably looking at stuff like cat rope, major violators, something along that line.
I always thought that would be fun, but I don't know. Now I'm thinking like, I think I'll just sit on my motorcycle in the shade and turn my lights on when somebody goes too fast to give them a warning.
And that's the end of it, huh?
It's kind of like, I'm not sure. On a off note, Dom is applying for the fire department.
Yeah, we were just
Really?
talking about this.
So, yeah, I'm like,
Really?
dude, it's not a bad move, but
Yeah, it's not.
especially because he has the background for it.
Yeah, he's already got the EMS end.
I am not gonna lie. I did look into it when this whole thing started, but you need the medical stuff, and I don't have the medical stuff, so I was like, well, that's out of the realm of
Yeah.
possibility.
Out of the question. And you guys have worked together way longer than I've been in the party. How long have you guys worked together for?
When did you first come to bikes? It was sometime in early 2018. I started on bikes October 2017.
So it was the bump in 2017.
So like February? No,
Yeah,
like
it was
2018. February 2018.
Yeah, 2018. Yeah, you're right.
So since February 2018?
Yeah.
Okay,
it
so
was
you
the
brought
bump. That's
up-
when I came to bikes.
You brought up bikes a little bit, and now you guys are on patrol. What are the biggest differences?
Freedom.
Which one has more freedom?
Yes.
That's pretty much it. Patrols, freedom.
You can leave the box.
The box. That's it. That's it. I broke the barrier.
Yeah, but also like bikes was a lot of, how do I say this? Like no one is gonna mess with the tourists, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, like I enjoyed bikes, I really did, because it was almost like no one's gonna mess with this box. This is my box, and no one's gonna touch my box, and we're gonna keep the tourists safe, and that's what we did,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So, and I think that's why, because like everyone that says they don't enjoy CCAC have never worked CCAC, and I think that's why I enjoyed CCAC as well, especially since I was there during 1 October.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I don't know. That's why I enjoyed bikes. I would have no problem going back, but
Especially now that swings is terrible.
honestly, yes, it sucks, but I'm getting used to it. I hate to say that, but
Yeah. It's kind of one of those things where you just kind of just accept your fate.
yeah.
Embrace the suck.
Yeah.
You're just sitting there like, well, they're not going to approve my transfer. I might as well get over it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
When you were on bikes, you were always together. How does the partnership work? Like, who does what? And then how does that transfer over to patrol now that you guys are separated?
Well, on bikes, we just kind of like, we just knew who would do what. I don't know. We just knew. 'Cause
Yeah,
we
it's
worked
kind of
together
hard to
for so long.
explain.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you just once the action is lulled, it's just we just went to work.
Yeah. And I think that still kind of transfers to patrol.
Yeah, because we still back each other on everything still.
Yeah.
Do you guys still hang out on the PSU channel?
Yeah.
What's that?
And just he's like plausible deniability. I'd say crap. All right. For both of you again, what do you guys want to accomplish or see with a podcast?
I'll let Roxas go first.
I actually think the idea is once this gets going, like questions from people, like people will send in some questions, Twitter or something like that, things that they want answered, because I think that'll give us a lot more direction with talking.
Yeah. In content and stuff. That's kind of why I know you guys may not want to do it live, but that's why I kind of want to do it live and then just make a podcast version, because then you can take questions like kind of as you go. And
It's true, but we have to get the crowd first, so everyone has to learn us
Yeah.
first. They have to think that we're
Exactly.
interesting,
yeah.
and then eventually they'll pop into our Twitches, and that's just it. We can both go live, and you'll have questions. You're like, "Ooh, that's a good one," and I'll have questions on mine. I'm like, "Ooh, that's a good one."
Yeah.
Speaking of interaction with viewers, somebody has already called Roxas a whore and has already said that they love Twitter. So there's that for you. I think I don't know about live. Kind of what Roxas was saying. It's just to get the fan base or the crowd is a little bit difficult, especially 10 o'clock at night.
Yes, true.
I
I
think
could,
it can
yeah,
get better, but at the same time, I think the podcast. I think people will just listen to it in their free time. 30
Yes.
minutes.
Yep.
yeah,
Like I listened to the blooper episode we made, and I listened to the whole thing and on my way driving somewhere, and it was easy.
yeah.
So I think that's why we're leaning more towards. And I want to get to the point of doing it live, but I think we can still gang questions and tractions and what they want to hear about through, like Roxas said, like Twitter or Instagram once they start listening to the podcast.
Yeah. Once they know what we're about.
And I think we've all always kind of had the idea of like, hey, let's talk to random people and tell stories or like educate them or just like have fun and make them like cops
Mhm.
instead of hating us. And now we're just finding a way to actually apply it.
Well, and how many times have we like finished gaming or something, but you're still streaming and we're just talking for like 30, 45 minutes?
Oh yeah.
You know what I
Same thing
mean?
at the end.
Yeah.
I think that's what, as far as like, I don't know, my vision of it kind of. And I just called it Two Cops because I was banking on my Instagram.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's three of us, and people already have asked me, well, there's three of you, or that's what. So the reason it's called Two Cops Talk is what we decided. It was going to be Two Cops Cop Talk, but that's just too many cops, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's already some other stuff out there with Cop Talk in it.
Yeah. From what I
But I
found.
decided it'd be good to have three of us because I know Roxas has had ideas like this before with his blog or with his Twitch and things.
Yeah. Yep.
Flying Fuzz is kind of just here because he has to be.
Yeah.
But with three of us, it allows us in the future, if Roxas is on vacation or if Flying Fuzz is out flying his airplane in circles, we can still do it and have a good conversation piece without that person for that week, or we can get a guest or something like that. Roxas, you have Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, yeah, everything, right?
Yeah, and the Twitch.
Twitch,
Yeah.
and it's just Roxas89,
At all of them.
ROX US 89.
That's it.
I've got the Two Cops with the number 2.
Yeah, you
And
gotta specify that.
it's for Instagram and Twitch. I don't do Facebook and I don't do Twitter. I actually do have a Twitter. I'm just not good with it. Is that like your main one?
My Instagram is my main thing.
That's the same with me. I don't
Yeah.
do well with Twitter.
I
don't-
scroll through it and I watch things, but I don't normally use it and post things.
That's a good point. I have my personal Facebook that I'm like always on, and I mainly just scroll and like spy on people. But anyway, lately I've been scrolling down my news feed and it's just been negativity after negativity after negativity, and it's really getting annoying.
It is. And I just went through my Instagram and did the same thing because I had a lot of people that were on there that it was just negative stuff. So I cleaned it all up. And that's the nice thing about Instagram is that people can follow you on there and watch everything that you put out, but they might not have the same viewpoints as you. So I'm not following everybody. So I have my 100 so people in my close circle that I follow because it's good stuff. Like
Yeah.
I scroll through my feed and I enjoy what I see. It makes me
Yeah.
happy. It doesn't bring me down scrolling through and I get upset.
Yeah, like Father's Day was a good day because I was scrolling down and a lot of my friends are posting like Father's Day stuff, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. It wasn't all negative.
Yeah, it kind of showed a little bit of normalcy.
Yeah.
I have to say this while he's here. I just had a friend that is, he's basically a firefighter, or has all the qualifications or something like that. So I just have to reiterate that one of our cop friends just applied for the fire department. Just while you're here for that, I just had to let him know because I know he'll have some crap to say about it later. All right, Flying Fuzz, what funny story do you have for us today?
Oh, is it my turn?
It is your turn to take the floor. This is the best part of the whole entire thing. Is your funny news, and I'm gonna bring it back because I had a class today, and somebody in the class said that cops are great storytellers. And the only thing I could think of is like, well, you haven't listened to Flying Fuzz tell a story.
Dang. Just gonna throw
I'm
you
a
out there
horrible-
like that.
I'm a horrible storyteller.
But I'm just saying, just the funny points of the story is what makes it great. So it really doesn't matter.
Okay, this one's out of Missouri. A man ditches his car and floats down a river after fleeing a traffic stop.
This sounds like a ride at a water park.
A man in Missouri was arrested after attempting to escape from police by floating down a river to flee a traffic stop on Friday. The Franklin County Sheriff's Office said on Facebook the incident unfolded around 8:30 a.m. when the 38-year-old man attempted to escape from police by floating down the Burboose River. The incident happened, I think that's how you say it, I don't know. The incident happened near the town of Union, located about 50 miles west of St. Louis. Major Trevor Wild of the Franklin County Sheriff's Office told the St. Louis Post-Dispatch the man drove through a hayfield and ditched his car Friday morning before he attempted to swim down the river. Officials said the 38-year-old was initially stopped for driving without a license and failing to yield to law enforcement. The man was seen in the river at 8:30 a.m. in the area of Shawtown Ford Road in Union, wearing a blue mechanics type button-up shirt. Officers said the man came out of the river and was caught by 1:30 p.m. Jeesh, that's 5 hours later. Wild told the Post-Dispatch police arrested him, but the 38-year-old was later released. Probably Corona or something. The man's identity was not released.
So he actually ran from his car and then tried to get away in the river. He didn't like wreck his car into the river.
No, yeah, he parked, ran into the river, and floated.
I was
down the
hoping he
river.
had a flotation device, like he
Yeah,
swam. Like I was waiting for him to be
One of
blowing
those
up a rubber
blow-up
ducky.
donuts.
Yeah, something. he was floating, actually sitting in there with a beer in hand and with a koozie on it, enjoying
Just
his
pretending
escape
like
from
he's
law
been there the
enforcement.
whole.
waving at
He's
the
been there
cops
the
as he
whole
floats by.
afternoon.
Yeah, this is
It's like,
this
no,
is
I
how
didn't see anybody
imagine
swim
this.
by.
I'm surprised he was in the river that long and he didn't there's no snakes. He didn't say if he had leeches on him or something. I don't know. Are leeches a thing
Yeah,
in
they
Missouri?
Are. Yeah,
I don't know. I've never been in Missouri.
Yeah, they'd be in there.
What I find interesting is how do you stop somebody initially stopped for driving without a license and failing to yield to law enforcement?
Yes, that is.
Those
I
are
read that
not-
too, and I was very confused.
This
The
is one
only
of
thing
those
I can,
stories that makes you kind of hurt.
but here's the thing. It's a small town. They probably saw him driving and was like, "Oh, Billy's at it again. He's driving without his license."
They know. Here it comes.
Yep, they know.
But either way, that still won't hold up in court. It's a secondary offense. You have to have probable
Well,
cause
here
for
in
your stop.
Nevada it is. I don't know how Missouri works. Do you know how Missouri
And
works?
I guess you could articulate the RS as well.
Yeah. Well, and if you know who the dude is and you run him up and he doesn't have a license.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, is it really RS at that point?
I mean, if you see, I don't think they would run him up. I think if they saw him and they're like, "Oh, Billy's at it again," they'd be like, "He probably still doesn't have a license because we gave him a ticket last week for it." But at the same time, why would he try to run if they know who he is?
I don't know.
You just wait for him to escape from the river and show up at his house.
I think you'd have to be intoxicated to jump in a river also.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, maybe. Yeah. And then could you still arrest him for the DUI if you don't have eyes on him for 5 hours?
5 hours, he's sobered up.
No, yeah, because he
It's
drank the
definitely
river
past the
water.
2 hour limit. He goes to
Holy
court. He's
cow.
like, I wasn't drunk. I was sick from the river water.
Oh man.
That was a good story. Do you guys want to talk about this police's well-dressed bike and motor officer contest?
Oh, I know you do because you like
I do. I want to enter
you and
it
your
so
pilgrim
bad.
boots.
He's so excited. How much did you let's ask, how much did you spend on your boots?
Oh, not as much as these ones that you can win are. The ones
Oh.
that you can win are like $600 boots. I bought mine off of Amazon for like $100.
Oh. I
Oh.
thought you spent a
They're
lot on
not
your
even-
boots.
There's not even they're not even polishable.
Are you just wearing your same boots in quotations as you did in patrol?
No, they're they have to be the high ones, but we are getting ready. So they're trying to change our uniforms, which
I've
I
The
think I
sheriff
told you
approve
guys
it yet?
about. I don't know.
I've
But
seen it. Because someone was wearing it for a training day
hopefully.
and they rolled up to downtown.
Yeah, and I've noticed that there's that one day, what was it, Saturday, where I had there were a lot of car accidents that day, and I'm driving around, and so there's time units all over downtown because there was a billion wrecks, but a lot of them were in that training uniform. I was like,
So when the protests were going on, they gave us the okay to, if we were enforcement, so like DUI squad, PSU, if we were enforcement, then you could wear that uniform. And I think some people got it confused. And because we were like, well, apparently we didn't get the picture because we would show up in our calls for service uniforms with our high boots and our button down shirts.
yeah,
And people would be walking around traffic in the training uniforms. And they're like, oh, no, they said that because we work at night. Because their shift happens to be 3 hours into the darkness, that they're allowed to wear that. And we were like, it's not what our sergeant told us, but okay. And I think people are kind of banking on it transitioning over. So,
yeah.
well, maybe I'll post on Instagram a couple pictures and see if we should vote. Officer 702 asked what the uniforms are going to be changed to. So, traffic is attempting to change their uniforms from the tall boots, button-down shirts, like the polished stuff, to just patrol boots with tack pants, and then our what are they, tan? Would you guys call them tan polos?
Yeah.
Similar to
Yeah,
what the gang
like
unit
weird
wears.
brownish.
Basically what the gang unit wears, except green pants instead of black, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Which is awesome because I'm telling you right now, those tight motorcycle pants with like the extra protection in the crotch, oh, they are so like cumbersome. They're so difficult.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Every time I see a motor unit in those and the tans, they always seem to struggle when walking. Is it just me, or does anyone?
Bending over to pick stuff up,
Yeah,
even getting on the motorcycle or riding the motorcycle for that matter, because of the way you're sitting.
I think they're just
It's
bow-legged.
Yeah, they're just like the SAT teams uniforms, except they are the green pants. I don't know if the SAT team has black pants or green pants.
I think the
But they're
SAT
the
team
green
wears the
bottoms.
blacks.
yeah. I think they're black.
Which does 511 make the same color of green bottoms?
Yeah,
Okay,
because I have 511 green bottoms.
I need to get some of those because I hate the pants the department gives us so much.
Yeah, I do. And when I was on bikes, they give you the black ones, and I hated it, so I got 511 black ones.
Yeah, but black's easy. I didn't know if they had the
Oh.
matching green.
They do. Because Explorers, I wear the green 511 pants.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. As far as this contest goes, I'm confident that it's going to have to be the actual dress uniform though, with the high boots and such. So I'm probably gonna post some pictures, see if I can get some votes, and then I think it has to be in by what I say, June 30th,
Yeah, I think you said the end of the month.
something like that. Where does it say that at? Yeah, June 30th by 11:59 p.m. Whew.
So
All right.
are you gonna put in for
What?
this, or
The contest? Heck yeah! Are you guys?
no?
You got any pictures in your bike uniforms? Dude,
I
you
have a
could
bunch
win.
of
I should do a
pictures.
bike uniform too. You could win straight up, is it? I don't know. Somebody look up this bike, the Recon Power Bike.
It's the e-bike. I
It's
clicked on the
Vincent
link.
Oh, dude, this bike would be dope. You kidding me?
Roxas, has your wife seen the picture of you surrounded by all those girls on the UTV on Fremont?
Oh yeah, I showed that to her like that night, the next day.
Yeah, you could use that one. Or I think I still have the one of you
hilarious.
sleeping in the hospital.
Oh, I have that one saved.
That's a good one.
I think
I
that
don't know if that
I
one's
think
gonna
that should
win.
be a good one.
I don't know if that's what they're looking for is when they
What were we
say
doing that day?
well-dressed bike and motor officers.
I was well dressed. I just wasn't doing anything.
I was just sleeping.
Yeah, it was a long night.
Yeah, what were we doing that night? I don't remember.
Who knows? But
I seem to remember that week being a long week.
Mm-hmm.
Was that when we were on the same squad, or was that before?
No, that's when we were on the same squad.
Interesting. All right, Flying Fuzz, do you have a story from this work week?
I do, actually.
What do you got for us?
So this was on Saturday. So I was acting because our sergeant was off. So I took out a VC call sign and tried to stay clear and stuff. And I don't know if I told you this, Roxas, but LT, after briefing, when I was doing the lineup, LT asked me if I was taking an acting call sign. Like, she's like, okay, so you're going to be acting today?
Oh, dang, she threw that at you.
Yeah, she threw that at me. And I was like, I wasn't planning on it, but I can be if you want. And she's like, well, and then I said, well, I'm taking a VC call sign, so, and I'm going to try and stay clear in case something happens. And she's like, okay, that'll be fine. So yeah, she threw that at me, and I was like, oh, snap.
You're like, here I go.
Yeah.
Three
Time
at
to
'em,
put
at
on the
'em.
big boy pants.
You should have asked if she was going to pay you acting pay.
Yeah.
Like, well, are you going to pay me if I take the call sign? Or...
Yeah. So anyway, I'm rolling around trying to knock out stupid calls and stuff with the VC call sign, and there's this accident with injury that comes out, and it's involving a off-duty PO from New Mexico. So I roll over there and I help out a little bit, and the V1 driver was drunk. So, but I didn't have time to like interview him because medical was working on him because he was bleeding pretty damn good. And so traffic gets there. I'm like, hey, FD's saying he's drunk, but I haven't had a chance to interview him or whatnot, so I don't know. And he's like, okay. And he already had another Tom unit en route. So he sent the other Tom unit to the hospital. I help out, finish everything, and then I take the off-duty guy and his girlfriend to the hotel because they're like, hey, can you drop us off at the hotel? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So drop them off at the hotel. So I'm leaving the Four Queens, and there's this other accident at Carson and Las Vegas Boulevard that the marshals are babysitting basically until we get another Tom unit en route. So I swing by there, and right about this time is when the attempt suicide came out, Roxas, down at like 1400 South the Boulevard or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And so I roll up and I'm talking to the marshals and I'm like, hey, are you guys good babysitting this until we get a Tom unit en route? And they were like, yeah. So I'm like, okay. So as I'm talking to them, that's when they update the address on that 405 or that attempt suicide to 1400 North the Boulevard or 1300 North Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
And so I already knew you guys were coming from way down south.
Yeah. We were
So I started
stomping around looking.
Yeah. So that's when I started heading that way, and then I went out on them. So first of all, it was kind of funny because I'm driving northbound on the boulevard, and FD was pulled over, of course. So I was like, huh. But anyway, continued driving north, went to the 1300 address, or 1300 North address. Security was out with the guy, and I get out of my car, and as I'm rolling up and getting out of the car, I notice there's blood like everywhere, all over this guy. I'm like, oh snap. So I immediately, like, before I even do a pat down, I like give the code 4 for medical because I know it's going to be a minute before they roll up. So I walk up and I'm like, what happened? And he's like, oh, I fell on my knife. And I was like, really? He's like, no, I cut myself. I was like, why? He's like, well, I have anxiety and stuff, and I thought this would be pretty quick.
I thought this was going to be faster.
And he had like So he cut his left wrist from like end to end. I don't really know how else to describe it. Like you saw it, right, Roxas? Like it was a deep cut from almost a complete circle.
No, flying. I never
And
got there. I never got to see it.
oh, that's right. You were on that domestic.
I got sent to
Yeah,
another
you
call.
got disregarded. Yeah, so it was basically if you were to cut a 360 around your wrist, it was like 180 degrees.
Oh,
And then he cut his neck, but I didn't really see that one. Another guy in our squad saw it better. But anyway, so I talked to him for like 2 minutes. The hard stripe sergeant rolls up, and then FD rolls up right behind him, and so does the other guy in our squad. So I tell the other guy in our squad, I'm like, hey, just like babysit him. I'm gonna run this guy and start the legal and stuff. And he's like, okay. So yeah, we did that. The guy was bleeding pretty damn good. I was like, damn.
I just fell on my knife.
Yeah.
in
Security's
two places.
Security's like, if you need me, I'll be over there. I was like, okay.
Did you put a tourniquet on him?
No. But I mean, honestly, I'm surprised he didn't with how much blood was all over him, and there was a pretty good puddle of blood in the ground too. I was surprised he didn't pass out or anything. And I didn't want to stand him up because I didn't want to make it worse. But yeah, he cut himself pretty dang good. I was like, I've never seen someone with such dedication before on slitting wrists and stuff.
We've had some pretty good ones with the wrist slitting department. There was one in Northwest when I was in FTUB. I didn't even go to it, but one of the officers there started throwing up as he was trying to
Really?
hold the blood in.
Oh wow.
Wow.
And the sergeant got there, so the officer passed out and started throwing up. So he was holding on to the officer, but he had the suspect at gunpoint. It was a mess.
Oh, wow.
It was a mess.
Well, considering it took us 20 minutes to get to this guy because we got the wrong address at first, I'm honestly surprised it wasn't worse than it was.
Is he bleeding that good?
Well, he clotted pretty well by the time I was there, but it's funny because I had his ID and I forgot to give it to him once they loaded him in the ambulance. So I went to the hospital later that night to drop in his property, and dude was clonked out, but medical had his wrist all wrapped up, and it was just full of blood. I was like, oh, you guys are gonna have to change the dressing. There was one on Sunday after you left, Roxas, because you had an AOST in the morning, so you left early. There was a call. You remember that call on Cobb Lane with that girl that went in the wrong apartment? She was crazy, but she loved our sergeant. So after the Stratosphere call with gaming control board and stuff, I went back to the station because I was going to write my novel into CAD about what happened and stuff. And this call comes out. It's a person with a knife on Cobb Lane, and dispatch broadcast the description, and she's like an HFA 5.5 heavy build, and I'm like, I think that's her again. So Sarge immediately assigns himself, and I'm like, that has to be her. That has to be her. But there was no other description. It was just 5.5 heavy build HFA. I'm like, that has to be her. So then someone, I think it was Bonner, he was like, oh, can the PR get a name or phone number of the suspect? Because the suspect was last seen going into an apartment. And that's when I got on the radio and I was like, control, I think I know who this is. We dealt with her before. And then our sergeant got on the radio and was like, yeah, I know who she is. She's cooperative, whatever. So anyway, get to the call, and I don't know what it is with her opening the door right as we get there, because she did the same thing last time we dealt with her.
Oh yeah.
We get there, and everyone they have the low lethal shotgun out and all this stuff, and Sarge is like, you guys don't need that. And then she opens the door, and Sarge is like, hey, you remember me? And she's like, I remember you. You're sexy. And she comes down the stairs. She comes down the stairs, and it was just too funny. I was just like, oh my god, this lady's at it again.
If somebody waves you down and they're like, "Oh yeah, she hit me." And then, but they're like, there's a bunch of yelling and stuff going on all at the same time, so you're not really sure if that's what was said or not. And then you ask them again, and he's like, "Nah, man, like, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to press charges or anything like that. Nothing happened." And then they just walk away. What do you guys think about that? We supposed to like detain them and be like, okay, something actually happened, make them tell us, or because they're uncooperative, we should just let it go?
I think it would depend on, like, if they're arguing in front of you, first of all, they should already be separated. Like, you already kind of have.
Let me get a little bit more detailed, okay? So you're in your car and you're driving like down the road, I don't know, maybe like 4th and Carson, and when you look to your left to make sure traffic isn't coming, you see somebody waving you down out the window.
And then I
you're like,
immediately look right and clear traffic and then go. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
that's it.
yeah, that's the ideal world, yes. But then they get the green light, and so then they pull like over and they pull over in front of you. So then you get behind them, and the driver, who's the male, gets out and says something like, "She wanted me to pull over, and then she kept like pushing me," and something like that. And then the female gets out, and you separate both of them, but the female gets in the driver's seat, and then you're like, "Ma'am, you can't leave yet. What happened?" And then the male's like, "Nothing happened. It's fine. Blah blah blah. Like, I don't want to press charges. Blah blah blah." And then he's like, "I'm just gonna leave," and he walks away, and then she drives off.
Well, in that situation, I wouldn't be too concerned about it because problem solved. They're separated. They went their separate ways. And obviously, like, you can't force him to be a victim. So you're not going to go detain him if he's like, "Oh, she hit me," and then he walks away. You're not going to go detain him and force him to be a victim.
I get that. I was just like, I'm pretty sure he said that like she pushed him or hit him or something like that. But I was also, she was still with. I mean, my hypothetically speaking, she was still with the car.
This doesn't sound hypothetical anymore, but okay.
Get into the details of it.
May or may not have happened today on my way home, and all I was gonna do was call for patrol. But
You're like, I don't know
maybe
how
it's
to
just
handle
because
that
we
stuff anymore.
maybe. Well, I mean, I could do it, but it was probably just because we went through our scenarios for training, and I was like, okay, well, she's still in the car, so I'm gonna focus on her more. So I wasn't listening to him. Like looked at him, like could tell he had no weapons, or at least no obvious weapons. So I turned my focus onto her, and then she was like, "Nothing. I just wanted him to pull over so I could go see my kids or whatever, or I wanted to drive or something like that." And then he was like, "Oh, whatever. I'm over it." And that was the end of it. And I was like, "Okay, have fun."
Yeah, I mean, problem solved. He didn't have any obvious injuries, and like I said, you can't force him to
There
be a
wouldn't have
victim.
been an APC for arrest either.
Yeah.
There was nothing, and it was just all right. Like whatever. I don't know.
Problem solved. Problem solved itself.
So just following up on that attempt suicide, just one popped up in my head. So we had a call up in one of the hotels while we were still on bikes, and this female, she cut her wrist, and her boyfriend saw it, and it wasn't bad. Like, we'll go past it. Like, it wasn't a bad cut. Boyfriend freaks out. He calls. Yeah, you'll know as soon as we get up here. When I get to the story, you'll know. So we get up there. We're running up there. She's laying on the bathroom floor. There's a little bit of blood, not a whole lot, but she used like a razor, like a regular like Gillette razor with 3 or 4 blades on it. So it didn't cut real deep, just kind of a flesh wound. So Dom gets up there as the first one, gets a towel, grabs her wrist. Well, she had a little bit of blood all over the place, so Gomez grabs the other wrist because the details said that she cut her wrists. So Gomez grabs him. So they're both standing there, just like holding onto her wrist, just putting good pressure on there. Medical finally arrives, and Dom pulls his towel away, and they're like, "All right, cool, we're gonna wrap it up." They put a bandage over it, get ready to take her on the thing, and then Gomez lifts up his towel, and he realizes that there are 0 cuts on that wrist that she's been holding extremely tight for probably 15 minutes now. And the stance that he was standing in, because she was on the ground, so he's kind of like in a squat, like trying to hold nice pressure, keep her wrist elevated. And the look on his face when he takes that towel away was priceless. I'll never forget it. Never. Just the look of, oh, I did that
No
for
one
nothing.
saw that. No one saw that.
It was great. He's never going to live that one down.
I do have a little bit of a motorcycle story, but I think I'm going to save it for next time.
Oh, it's already been that long?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
dude.
turned off my monitor. Well, everyone has to tune in next week.
Yeah, good tease. Good tease. It has to do with somebody, like, if you're going to try to run from the cops,
Yeah.
like, if you want to run from a cop car, that's fine. Like, or if you're going to run from the cops on foot, where you can jump a wall or something, that's also fine. But don't do it in a car versus a police motorcycle, especially when you don't have a driver's license and you don't know how to drive. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. That's it. Any questions from the two of you about anything we've talked about today?
Well, I'm good.
I've got nothing to add.
All right. Sounds good to me. Make sure you guys follow Roxas on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all Roxas89, ROXUS 89. Follow myself, Two Cops with a number two, Two Cops with a Twitch on both Instagram and Twitch and Twitter, which I will never use. And make sure you come and hang out next week for Two Cops Talk. Stay safe out there, and goodbye.